There we go. So I just about started this thing without hitting record. Hello everybody, welcome back to Beige... Hey everybody and welcome back to Beige... Hello everybody and welcome back to Beige Bedsheet Reviews, where I stacked a bunch of boxes on a coffee table because I didn't have a folding table and I'm sitting on a piano bench. Reviews. It's not as high budget as you may think because I'm a student and I'm renting the equipment. So, what we're looking at today is the Nintendo Switch. I know, it's been out a couple weeks, but at this point it's probably 3, because this is going to be a comprehensive review. I'm not just going to unbox the video. I'm not just going to unbox the product and say how great it is off of that, because you got to use it for a little while first. So you might notice the nice blue and red background that I got going here, similar to my last video. Unfortunately, I did not get a blue and red Switch. I got the gray, but you know, whatever. It does the same thing. It's just the color of the plastic. I've been basically hunting for this for the past 2 weeks now, just looking on iStock Finder, refreshing the page a few times a day, and all of a sudden I noticed that all of the Walmarts in the city that I live in had Switches. But I got out there and I was able to get maybe the fourth to last one they could sell. Almost didn't get it, but I did. Let's get right into... Oh gosh, I just said let's get right into it. When you're making YouTube videos, it's always good to try to not... it's upside down. I always try to not say what everybody else says, but at this point there's just so many people on YouTube that there's nothing that hasn't already been said. Is this recording? Please tell me this is recording. It looks like it is. Yep, it's recording. It just is not in the... It's not a red dot in the upper corner like I thought I remembered seeing it as. I just realized I really don't have an upper camera going on overhead. Recording automatically. So essentially what's going on here, this is a disaster already, happens in the box. I'm sure anyone's already seen it. I'm just gonna ditch this. Nobody doesn't know what it looks like already. You can find other unboxings with more better quality production value, but I'm just opening it up. This is it. This is the whole console right here. This is the Switch. I'm still not quite sure how I feel, considering this looks like, you know, the back of the driver's seat of a minivan to keep your kids quiet. It's watching TV. I haven't really used it much yet. I played a little bit of 1-2 Switch, Snipper Clips, and then a little bit of Breath of the Wild, just to, like, feel how the game mechanics felt, and it was alright. I have nothing to say yet because I really haven't played it. So you got your little kickstand. It sits up. Now I've heard that's fragile, so we'll see how well that goes. And of course you've got your Joy-Cons. Now I can say this much. Having used these Joy-Cons before, they feel really small. Maybe I would consider it to be somewhat of a flaw. I feel like it could have been performed a little bit better. So you got your Joy-Con controllers as usual. Don't put them in backwards because I've heard that locks them in there for good, and you can only play the Switch backwards. Let's just see. This isn't a 5 senses review. We're not gonna lick the Switch. I didn't actually know that the cartridges taste bitter when I did the last video. My friend tricked me into coming up with the idea. He basically performed Inception on me to do a 5 senses review, and I was like, yeah, you know, that's a great idea. I had no clue. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try to see if we can replicate that Switch sound in every trailer. So they always have one of them in. Oh, okay, that's not the same sound. Well, it clicks, but it's not the play that sound real quick. It's hey, we didn't have to do that. It's not the sound. Overall, I've felt the Switch in hand before. It feels solid. I was gonna go get my Wii U gamepad for comparison. Let's be right back, folks. Let's just leave this on the stand here. Look at that. It's real pretty. Look at that while I go get the Wii U gamepad to compare. Back. Okay, so here's the gamepad. Here's the Nintendo Switch. Clearly they're comparably sized. I'm going to take a look at the screens real quick. Pretty much, I think if they're not exactly the same size, they're very close. I gotta say though, gamepad just feels better in the hand. I know the gamepad feels plasticky and a little more, less well put together, but the buttons on the gamepad, or you know, similar quality. But man, the gamepad, like, the problem I think with the Switch that I have so far is it's too small. The Switch, it is tiny, and that's the you know, the point of it. But when you get down to which one is more ergonomically designed, the Wii U gamepad, if this itself was a standalone console, I think this would be better, because one, it feels like it can take a whole lot more impact. If this just had a capacitive touchscreen in it and had whatever the hardware inside the Switch was, I can already tell you that I think I would like that better, because I really don't need to be able to take the sides off. And even if you did, even if it was chunkier or larger controllers that you took off the side of something the size of the Wii U gamepad, you know, I think I actually would have liked that better. But it's fine. It's fine. We're not hacking on the Switch the whole time. That was just a small comparison that I wanted to do. There's still more in this box here. Let's get rid of that. All right, so we've got the Joy-Con, you know what I'm talking about. The extra buttons that go in on the Joy-Con to make it slightly larger when you're holding it, I guess. Joy-Con grip. So we'll try this out, I guess, in a second. We'll, you know, figure that out. Don't want that. HDMI cable, of course. AC adapter, which is great because the charger port is on the bottom. They decided to go with USB-C instead of something a little more proprietary, which is fine, you know, because I guess a lot of things are going USB-C thanks to Apple or someone. The port's on the very... fingerprints already. The port's on the very bottom. And I haven't really had a problem with this yet because I haven't used the Switch long enough to, but I can tell you, if I want to do the whole deal where I... take off my Joy-Cons and I'm playing a game, but I want to charge my Switch at the same time, come on, Nintendo. I mean, even the gamepad plugs in at the top, but then it's got the convenient little cradle charging on the bottom. So, you know, if they could have just done the same thing with the Switch, I think it would have been great. I can get rid of Joy-Con grip, don't need that at the moment. So let's slide the Switch controllers pieces, the Joy-Cons, into the cradle. Yep. It feels alright. The Joy-Con joysticks, I don't know if I would say flimsy is the word. They feel like they're very well put together. They just feel a little frail. The buttons feel like buttons should feel, so that's, you know, that's good. But yeah, I'm definitely a lot less of a fan of the throttle sticks for the Switch. Wii U gamepad had incredible throttle sticks, or analog sticks, whatever you want to call them now. Do we even use analog technology anymore? Pretty much no. Manual. And then the actual Switch cradle itself. Why didn't I get a second Joy-Con? Oh, here it is. Box, we could just get rid of that. And the AC adapter. So here's the Switch cradle, which I've heard scratches the Switch. So that's wonderful. I've been told, I haven't confirmed this, but I've been told that the Switch actually uses plastic for the screen instead of glass, which I get you want to keep it cheap, you know, you want to make people want to buy it. But I think if $350 would have been the price of a Switch, to not have the screen scratch, I think that might have been something I would have been willing to pay for. Is it tired in here, or is it just me? Because once again, for comparison, the Wii U gamepad has a pretty awful screen. You know, but at least the touch screen's pretty awful because it's not capacitive. But mine's fine. I've never put a screen protector on here. It's dusty as heck, and it's lightly scratched, but it looks fine. And when I put this on the charger thing for the Wii U, it didn't scratch it. $350 here, $300 here. So apparently, and I want to be real careful with this because I really, really don't want to just scratch it right off the bat. I don't know how easy it is to scratch it. It just slides right on in, and it's connected. So that's supposedly how easy the Switch is supposed to be to use. We're not going to put the Joy-Cons in backward. And then if you want to get it out, Joy-Cons in, pull it out. I just don't see how... And then, of course, the cradle opens up and you've got they do have a USB port. And then so they have the HDMI and the AC adapter goes in there and whatnot. So, Switch cradle, you know, nothing, doesn't seem to be two USB ports, actually. That's good. That satisfies a concern that I had just as far as connectivity goes. I'm going to have a hard time working with the audio for this because I keep getting so far away from the mic. That, in a nutshell, is a Nintendo Switch. Is it going to be as good as I hope it is, or as good as people have told me it is so far? I don't know. I've waited 2 weeks of hunting to finally get my hands on one. I'm excited. I think it'll be good. Will it power on? Did they put any power in it to begin with? Oh, hey, was it screen stuff happening here? Hey, what do you know? It had some power. we'll see how it plays out. All right, it has been 3 months, which is longer than the 1 month I'd expected to wait, but you know what? Better late than never. Plus, the longer you wait for a review, the more you're going to know how you like the product. So that's my excuse, by the way. First, we're going to go over everything that I said in the previous half of this video because, that was a long time ago. So I went, watched it, wrote down my comments. Here we go. I mentioned something about the size of the Nintendo Switch. The size of the Switch is almost perfect. It feels great in your hand. There's really no major complaints on that that I have for extended use. The kickstand is fine. I thought it was frail, could break. It's fine. I do think it's weird that the micro SD card slot is right beneath the kickstand. I had to look that up. I had no clue what that was all about. Joy-Cons are a little small. Yes, they are. It's not too bad. It kind of melts away because the games that I've played are pretty good, which would be Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8. Are really the only ones, and then snipper clips also. Yeah, the Joy-Cons are a little small. I don't know, maybe would have made it a little bit bigger, but that kind of goes with the entire Switch as a whole. The Joy-Cons won't lock in if you put them in backwards. I accidentally did that, and they didn't lock in place. I don't know who said that. If you put the wrist strap on backwards, that will lock in, and it's very difficult to get off, but I did with no damage, so, fine with that. Now back to kind of the gamepad comparison. The buttons and everything on the gamepad is all better than the buttons on the Switch. The buttons on the front of the Switch are pretty good. They have a nice little click to them, but the shoulder buttons, the shoulder button on my left Joy-Con is not perfectly stable. Sometimes it works perfectly, sometimes it actually doesn't work really well at all. And I don't know if that's just a problem with the Joy-Con itself or with the actual design of the Joy-Con. I didn't have the same connectivity issues that a lot of people were having, but if you get it if the Joy-Con gets far enough away from the console or something's between it, you will notice significant input lag and problems with that. But as far as the buttons go, the Wii U gamepad had much better buttons, but that's only one thing about the Switch. The charger port on the bottom was not really an issue for me. I think maybe one time in the last 3 months I was like, oh, I want to play this game and I also want to charge. While setting the Switch down, not really. You're mostly going to charge the Switch with it either on your TV or you're just not going to be using it at all. So the Joy-Con joysticks, I also mentioned that they felt a little frail. Yeah, they're not as precise as you would kind of hope. The DualShock 4 throttle sticks or the Xbox One throttle sticks or the Wii U gamepad throttle sticks are so much better, and they're far superior to these ones. It makes sense. You had to make it small, compact, so it could fit on this tiny package, which we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, the joysticks, I could have seen those done better. And then the screen, I haven't had any problems with the screen scratching, putting it into the cradle and taking it out. But I've also been very gentle with my Switch. I know a lot of people maybe aren't, especially if you have, a kid who's using it. So, I recommend getting a screen protector, which I have yet to do, but I haven't had a problem yet. But I better do that before there's a problem, because you can't retroactively solve the problem by buying a screen protector. Screen protectors don't work that way. So now to just kind of talk about the actual Switch and my user experience. It's great. I recommend it to anyone because it is exactly what Nintendo advertised it to be, which is taking a console level experience anywhere you want to go. The two things that I've been playing video games on are my Nintendo Switch and my PC. And the Switch is perfect because Breath of the Wild is definitely a AAA experience and I can go really anywhere playing it. I've actually played most of my playtime on the actual Switch screen, probably more than my TV, unless I'm doing multiplayer in Mario Kart 8, just because it's convenient. I can sit in my bed or my chair or couch or, the back seat of the car on a trip. It fulfills everything it was advertised to be, which is amazing because most of the time things don't usually do that. So as far as the actual usage of the Switch, it's amazing and I recommend it. Now, just to kind of touch on some of the games that I played, Breath of the Wild is an incredible game. It's a Zelda game. It's Nintendo, so clearly they're going to do a good job with their games. There's very few times that they've actually really screwed up. This is not one of those times. Mario Kart 8 is Mario Kart 8, but all the DLC is included. So, if you have Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, there's not much point in buying it for the Switch, unless you're just planning on doing a full changeover, which I sort of did, but I still have my Wii U for those games. Splatoon, not really my thing, but I jumped into the test fire. It was pretty good, ran well, no frame problems, it was great. It's impressive how well this thing works, having no wired internet connection and also being a standalone battery-powered device. The battery life has been pretty good for all these games so far. You know, you get a couple to 3 hours of Breath of the Wild or Mario Kart out of it, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually, considering everything it's doing, it's pretty impressive. Considering it seems like all they change is the resolution whenever you go from the TV to the Switch itself. And then 1-2 Switch. Oh, 1-2 Switch. So do you remember the Wii? Remember Wii Sports? Was one of the most amazing, like, you would buy a Wii, and then or your friend would get a Wii, and you'd be like, oh, dude, I want to hang out a lot now, because you have Wii Sports, we want to go play baseball or something. Well, the Nintendo Switch didn't do this. Wii Sports was amazing because it showed off everything new about the Wii, and made people really want to do motion control games, at least at the time. You know, it didn't stick for a lot of people, but some it did. But it was a fun, amazing initial game, which is why it's actually pretty highly rated, even though it's only like, 4 mini games in one game. But the Nintendo Switch did not come with a game. There was no game that was released with the Nintendo Switch, and 1-2 Switch should have been that game. Because 1-2 Switch, Wii Sports is superior to 1-2 Switch. Wii Sports was free, and 1-2 Switch is $50. I'm telling you guys right now, 1-2 Switch is not a $50 video game. I rented it for one day, and my brother and I got just about as much play out of that as we were going to get. Maybe we'll rent it again, but it was like $1. I feel like I got about a dollar's worth of entertainment out of it. Maybe if 1-2 Switch was maybe $15 or $20, maybe it would be worth it then. But 1-2 Switch is not a $50 game, so I do not recommend buying 1-2 Switch for $15. If you're posed with that option, I would much more recommend going for something like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is $60, but it has a lot more to offer, just in the realm of multiplayer competitiveness. So that is my review of the Nintendo Switch. Thank you guys for watching. Final recommendation is just, try to get one. It's good. Because they're going to be releasing, hopefully, a whole lot more third-party games in all of the different genres for it. It accomplishes what it needed to accomplish, which is differentiating itself from the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox One by being a AAA experience that goes anywhere, and they accomplished that. So thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. You know everything else that a YouTuber tells you to do at the end of the video. Bye.